Oh, okay. That that's creepy. Okay. Wait, how much power do I have left? Oh no, 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 no. Can't even make it through my first night. Oh no. If y'all can hear me, please, please don't hurt me. I'm just trying to do my job and get paid. No, Freddy, no, no, no. No, enough with that music, man. Please don't hurt me. Oh no, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here, man. I didn't want this job to begin with. Oh no. Wait, is that footsteps? Hello? Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, ghouls and goblins, welcome back to another episode of Cinema Smackdown. I'm your host, Drew Bronson, and there is a lot to talk about in movies and wrestling. So let's not waste any more time and jump right in. This past week, I finally got to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now, before I start talking about the movie itself, I want to issue a spoiler warning, alright? If you haven't seen the movie right now up to this point, either go to the theaters and watch it, or watch it at home on Peacock, and then come back and finish this video. But I want to make that 100% clear, alright? So, with the warning out of the way, let's go ahead and talk right about the movie. Now, the elephant in the room. Matthew Lillard. Alright? The moment I saw Matthew Lillard casted into this movie, I knew right at that point that he was going to be William Afton. And when I saw him take that yellow bunny mask off in the movie, I was like, I knew it! I knew he was going to be Afton! Overall, the movie was just a lot of fun, and I absolutely enjoyed it. There were a handful of jump scares, a few moments that got me, which I'll go into detail in just a moment, but it was just absolutely brilliant. Having Matthew Lillard as William Afton was definitely a great, great call. Now, other elements of the movie that I want to discuss are the animatronics, alright? The company that made the puppets for the animatronics did an absolutely great job. They were so on point with how they looked in the video game franchise. It was so nostalgic. Now, I haven't played all of the games myself. I played a little bit of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and a handful of Security Breach, but I've watched a shit ton of Markiplier to not go and see this movie. Know what I'm saying? Sorry, it's just it's still so hard to wrap my head around because a lot of pieces of the lore and a lot of references were made in this movie. It's hard to focus on just one thing. But sticking with the animatronics, although the designs were great, the jump scares, they were good too, and they got me. When the cupcake did the jump scare onto that one dude's face in the kitchen, ooh, yeah. As expected as it was that was gonna happen, yeah, I flew back into my seat. But there was actually a time in the movie where I nearly flew out of my seat into the row behind me, okay? So, the movie's over and the credits are rolling. Yes, Five Nights at Freddy's by the Living Tombstone was playing during the credits, and the theater was just going off. Everyone was excited at that point. But in the end credits scene of the movie, we see the taxi driver, right? And the door opens and closes, but the taxi driver is saying he's not taking any more customers. He looks over, and it's Balloon Boy. Now, I was just leaning forward in my seat, just trying to wrap my head around everything that happened in the movie. But when Balloon Boy popped up on screen, I shit you not, I launched myself back into my seat at the speed of lightning, and I nearly flew over my seat into the row behind me, which is interesting because in the auditorium my sister and I were in, there was a guardrail behind us, so that was almost going to be like a safety net of sorts should I actually fly out of my seat. But I love this movie, but I hate Balloon Boy for that, alright? That jump scare in the cab had me punching air. My sister was sitting right next to me when I was doing that. Okay, that's the animatronics out of the way. Now, everyone else that was casted in this movie with perfect roles. Josh Hutcherson was Mike Schmidt. Now, Mike and Steve Raglan, aka Matthew Lillard, when they were having a conversation about getting Mike Schmidt a new job, Raglan was looking through his resume and looking through his recent employments. When he was reading his name, he read Mike, but he stopped at his last name. And here's why he didn't say his full name. In Mike Schmidt's youth, a mysterious man kidnapped his brother Garrett, his younger brother Garrett. And when Raglan saw Mike's last name, he stopped because he realized that Mike Schmidt was Garrett's older brother, which is a hint for those deep and hardcore Five Nights at Freddy's fans that Raglan was just a cover-up name for Afton, because Afton realized that he is literally sitting across from a man who is the older brother of a kid he kidnapped. So that part was very interesting. After I look back at it, after I saw the movie, the references in this movie are just insane. That being one of them. Now, also, anytime Mike has his dreams where he keeps reliving that moment where Garrett got kidnapped, as he starts working at the pizzeria, he turns around and sees these 4 kids. There's a blonde kid, a kid in a hat, a girl wearing a yellow shirt, and a young boy wearing bunny ears. These are the kids that were kidnapped and put into the animatronics. But there's something that has been throwing me off throughout the whole movie that my sister had to explain to me after we left. The blonde kid, he was wearing a brown and yellow striped shirt, but because majority of the shirt was brown, I always kept thinking that kid was Freddy. But no, that kid that Mike keeps talking to in his dream was Golden Freddy. And when I saw Golden Freddy appear on screen, I was happy. It was can't really find the words for it, but anyways, I didn't write any of this shit down. This is all in real time, okay? And it wasn't just all the references to the books and the game that made this movie exciting. It was also a specific cameo by a man named Matt Pat, who you guys might know for his game, film, theory videos on YouTube. And it was this moment in the movie where a group of people are at a diner hoping to collect some dirt on Mike Schmidt so that Mike's aunt could take custody of Mike's sister Abby. The waiter, the moment he appeared on screen, my sister's face started to light up because she knew who it was. It didn't hit me for a second because I haven't seen much of MatPat's theory videos. But when he said his famous line that it's just a theory, that's when it hit me. And that was a very, very appropriate cameo for MatPat. And sticking with cameos, just the other day, after the movie got released this past Friday, MatPat made a video talking about how the secret's out and he was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And this is what ticks me off. While MatPat was backstage on set, he saw in a room that there were papers all on the wall with pictures and roles for people in the movie. The security guard in the opening of the movie, okay? Remember that. The security guard in the opening of Five Nights at Freddy's wasn't supposed to be that guy that we saw. It was originally supposed to be Markiplier. And that pisses me off, but I can't get mad because it was the reason why Markiplier wasn't in Five Nights at Freddy's was because he has his own project, the Iron Lung, that he's working on, and how the schedules were set up, he couldn't make it. If they would have just pushed back the Iron Lung for just a little bit, we could have had it would have been my favorite cameo in this movie. Alright? Like, yes, there are a lot of YouTube streamers that played Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. But I'm sure you guys can agree with me. Markiplier is one of, if not the biggest, Five Nights at Freddy's streamer on YouTube. So having him in the movie would make perfect sense. But again, I can't get mad that he wasn't. But having MatPat in the movie was a nice treat. There is honestly so much more that happened in the movie that I could talk about now, but there's other things I want to talk about this week, so we're going to put a pin in Five Nights at Freddy's for right now and talk about NXT Halloween Havoc. This past Tuesday, NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1 was all treat and no trick. We had new champions crowned, spin the wheel, make the deal matches, and a whole lot more. But let's talk about the hosts for a moment. Our hosts for the evening were Shotzi and Scarlett, and they delivered on their costumes. Now, I couldn't exactly tell what Scarlett was at first. All I know is that she was dressed like a doll who looked like her head was severed off. I mean, I couldn't really piece together Scarlett's costume, but Shotzi, her costume stick out like a sore thumb. The moment Halloween Havoc went on air, which was a costume that I hope she dressed up as for Halloween Havoc, Pinhead. Because knowing how she has her hair now and she has like many spikes all around her head, I told my friends, Pinhead would be a good costume for Shotzi. And sure enough, she was Pinhead standing in the center of the ring. So I enjoyed that. And then our first match of the evening was Devil's Playground. But we'll talk about the matches in a moment. Sticking with the hosts, their costumes throughout the night had different costumes they wore throughout the night. So later on, as they were in a backstage segment with Carmelo Hayes, they were the twins from The Shining, and they were completely in sync when talking. It was as scary as it was enjoyable. And then when they were back out in the arena talking about Halloween Havoc and what a night has been at that point, Scarlett, I believe, was dressed as Dracula. I couldn't really see from where I was sitting, but Shotzi was Edward Scissorhands. And the reason why she dressed as Edward Scissorhand was because of a poll that she had on her Instagram, asking her fans if they would want her to dress up as Edward Scissorhands or Pennywise from It. And the poll was in favor of Edward Scissorhands, and she delivered a great Edward Scissorhands costume. I honestly think these are some of her best costumes she's worn to date. It's almost like each year at each Halloween Havoc, her costumes just keep getting better and better. But that's enough from the host. Let's get into the spin the wheel and make the deal matches. We had 2 spin the wheel, make the deal matches. Roxanne Perez and Kiana James went at it in a Devil's Playground match, which opened the show, and it was a whole lot of fun. The only downside is because, well, from where I was sitting, they were mainly on the side of the ring that's next to the aisle. That's where most of the fight took place. But even just watching it from where I was, it was still a lot of fun. Especially because I'm someone who really enjoys matches that use weapons. I mean, Kiana James broke a swing set. They broke a slide. A laptop, a brick, many other weapons found from underneath the ring. It was definitely a fun way to kick off Night 1 of Halloween Havoc. Roxanne Perez did get the win over Kiana James in Devil's Playground. Now, moving on, our second spin the wheel make the deal match was between Gigi Dolan and Blair Davenport in a lights out match. This match was okay, in my opinion. Even after talking with some of my friends and buddies, we were all like, yeah, the better lights out match in NXT was between Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu last year. Especially when Wendy Chu used those Legos, which was traumatizing for me. Alright? As someone who grew up with Legos, I understand the pain of just stepping on one brick, maybe even a few. But to be dropped into a pile of Lego bricks, that's a death wish. Like, if that was me, I would be done. I'd be out. Yeah, the match was mediocre. Blair Davenport did get the win over Gigi Dolan, as whom I was hoping would win. But, yeah, it was lights out for Gigi Dolan. We got to finally see the in-ring debut of Lexis King, formerly known as Brian Pillman Jr. Yes, descendant of the legendary late great Brian Pillman. But the build to his debut was actually brilliant. Him sharing his story about how Brian Pillman passed away when he was 4 and how his father wasn't really there to raise him and was raised by someone else. It was brilliant. I don't think there's another word that I could use. Maybe genius. But Lexis King, oh, he's good. He's good. And I'm glad that he's here in NXT. Honestly, I could definitely see him shooting for the North American Championship very, very soon. Well, okay, not too soon, but sooner than what most people may think. And going into NXT last week, I was talking with my friends about his debut match and who he would potentially face. A lot of people agreeing with me when I said Dante Chen, who has been competing every now and then on Level Up. But I began to think, it's been a while since Dante Chen has been on NXT TV. So why not have him face Lexis King in his debut match? Sure enough, we get to Lexis King's debut match, and who comes out first? Dante Chen. I don't know if I could see the future, but I take credit for calling that. Well, Lexis King, his entrance, he was just sliding into the stage on a throne. Now, if that's symbolism, I don't completely understand it yet. Maybe I will down the line. Maybe it's because his last name is King and kings have a throne. Maybe. I don't know. But his entrance was pretty cool. Plus, the music, I kind of rock with it. So whenever it comes out on streaming platforms, that's going in my playlist. Lexus King got the win over Dante Chen in an impressive victory, and I can't wait to see more of him. The finals of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament are set and will take place this Tuesday on Night 2 of NXT Halloween Havoc. And sure enough, it's the two favorites in the tournament, as it will be Kalani Jordan taking on Lola Vice in the finals. This is a match that's going to be split down the middle. Of all the matches that happened so far in the Breakout Tournament, this one is definitely going to be 50-50. Because I could already hear the PC chanting loud for both Kalani and Lola as they're going at it for the chance to win a contract for an NXT Women's Championship match. Guaranteed Women's Championship match contract. But if I had to choose, that's actually a trick question. This is actually one match where when I'm talking about Tuesday with my friends and I ask them their thoughts, I would tell them that I would just sit back, watch, and enjoy it because I can't choose. Now, I do have some friends that are going to pick Lola or Kalani, but for me, I'm just going to watch the two favorites of the tournament go at it and see who comes out winning and gets the contract. Because both those women easily deserve a future women's championship match. But I just want to see who's going to get it first. But yeah, the finals, Kalani, Lola, this Tuesday, Night 2, NXT Halloween Havoc. We had two championship matches on Night 1 of Halloween Havoc. The NXT Tag Team and the NXT Women's Championships were on the line. As for the tag team titles, the D'Angelo family were defending against Chase University. Now, before we got to this match, I was talking with my friends. And we were saying, or at least I was saying, that I wanted Chase University to win mainly because I want fighting tag team champions on NXT. Now, since the D'Angelo family won the tag team titles back at the Great American Bash at the end of July, they've had one title defense before Night 1 of Halloween Havoc, and that was in a Fatal 4-Way against the Creed brothers, Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, and Out the Mud back at No Mercy at the end of September. So, because of that, I really picked Chase U to win. Plus, Chase U has had multiple opportunities throughout the year at tag team titles, and they haven't succeeded. I honestly think they should have won at Vengeance Day because it was a homecoming event for Andre Chase, having been from North Carolina himself. But that was then, this is now. Chase University was able to beat the D'Angelo family and become the brand new NXT Tag Team Champions. Honestly, it's crazy how many title changes there have been this year. Just across the board. And I could definitely talk about this year's title changes later on this year. But it's just crazy how many new champions we've had crowned throughout the year. It's almost insane. And the new stars that are coming up, with the Tag Team Classic and the Men's Breakout Tournament coming up, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I guess on that note, now that we have new tag team champions in Chase University, I guess we could expect the Tag Team Classic to start up in the next coming weeks after Halloween Havoc Night 2 and determine the next number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team titles and have them fight Chase University at NXT Deadline in early December, which I think is a great idea. So I hope Shawn Michaels considers that. In the very, 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 very slim chance that he sees this video, I honestly think that's a great idea, and that's what should happen going into NXT Deadline. But that's the NXT Tag Team titles. In the main event of Night 1, Irish wrestling history was made as for the first time ever, two Irish women duke it out, no pun intended to Duke Hudson, for the NXT Women's Championship, as it was the then defending champion Becky Lynch taking on Lyra Valkyria in what was easily the biggest match in Lyra Valkyria's entire career. Maybe her entire life up to this point, because they have been training together in the same wrestling school many years ago. So they have a long history with each other prior to this match, and things finally came to a head when they squared off. It was a good match. They were both throwing their best shots, but they would keep getting up after each one. Lyra eventually pinned Becky's shoulders to the mat, and we have a brand new NXT Women's Champion in Lyra Valkyria. It is well deserved. She's been busting her ass every week on NXT, having fought the likes of now Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, among many other big NXT superstars. Lyra Valkyria definitely deserves to be women's champion. So congratulations to our new champions, Chase University and Lyra Valkyria. So I already touched on that the finals of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament will take place this Tuesday on Night 2 of Halloween Havoc. But there's a whole lot more going down that I'm very excited for. As first off, Robert Stone will be going one-on-one with Braun Breaker. Now, I hate that some people might see this as a one-sided match, but Mr. Stone does have past wrestling experience, and he's going to use that against Braun Breaker. Last week, while he was at a physical therapy office with Von Wagner, he was saying that even if he could just slap Braun across the face to wipe the smug smirk off of it, that would be enough for Mr. Stone. But I just hope Mr. Stone doesn't meet the same fate as Von Wagner, because that moment is absolutely horrific. And Von definitely has a big ass receipt that he's going to give to Von Wagner at some point when he's back. But will Von come back during this match? I honestly don't think so. I think Von still needs to take his time to recover, and when he's fully recovered and back to 100%, he will be back and will take care of Braun Breaker. And maybe, even after that point, shoot for a championship. We have another Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal match this Tuesday, as the Creed brothers will take on Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo in a tables, ladders, and scares match. As last week, the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile spun the wheel and made the deal. Now, the reason why we had this match is actually going back to the Bada Bing Bada Boom Battle Royal 2 weeks ago on NXT. At some point, while the referees were distracted by a brawl outside the ring, the Creed brothers, or at least one of the Creed brothers, threw Humberto over the top rope with his feet touching the floor. But because all the referees at ringside were distracted, they never saw that Carrillo was eliminated. So, by the time one of the Creed brothers was thrown over the top rope, the referees did see that, and it was Carrillo, Garza, and Chase U as the last two teams in that match. And the Creed brothers did not take kindly to it, as they came back out later in that match to cost Carrillo and Garza a chance at Halloween Havoc last week for the tag team titles. Which brings us to this past Tuesday. Like I said, the Creed brothers spun the wheel and it landed on tables, ladders, and scares. Now this is just a Halloween themed TLC match. Now, unlike other TLC matches in the past, since there's no championship involved, this match can be won by pinfall or submission. Or maybe there's a unique rule for scoring the win in this match. I don't know. The last tables, ladders, and scares match that I saw in NXT was between Io Sky and Candice LeRae at Halloween Havoc a couple years ago for the NXT Women's Championship. But this one I'm excited for. I'm really interested in seeing what Garza and Carrillo can do in this type of match, because I've seen the Creed brothers take things to the extreme before. So this one's going to be interesting and a lot of fun, I hope. Tiffany Stratton and Fallon Henley will be going one-on-one this Tuesday on Halloween Havoc. There have been a number of brawls and a few choice words thrown back and forth between these two women. Really since the October 10th episode when Asuka was down here and NXT talent was showing their respects, Fallon Henley got cut off by Tiffany Stratton, and that's where things really started to brew between the two. Last week on night 1, Fallon Henley actually had a spot, not just a spot-on costume, but a near perfect impression of Tiffany Stratton, which was hilarious in a good way. They brawled in the viewing room for the breakout tournament, and now they go one-on-one in the ring this Tuesday on Halloween Havoc. I think I'm going to go with Fallon Henley on this one. Tiffany Stratton definitely has a receipt coming her way, so Fallon Henley will give it to her this week. In the main event of Night 2 of Halloween Havoc, we have the Tsar, the Mad Dragon, the NXT Champion, Ilya Dragunov, defending the title against him, Carmelo Hayes, in the third chapter of this incredible rivalry. I find this to be the best treat of all because their last 2 matches were on premium live events at the Great American Bash back in July and then recently at No Mercy at the end of September. I hope this one is the final nail in the coffin and then they can both move on to other feuds. Maybe we'll soon find out if Carmelo Hayes really did attack Trick Williams backstage. But that's still under investigation and it's out of my hands. So there's nothing I could do to help. I didn't see anything. Maybe. But sticking with the match, I'm still going to go with Ilya Dragunov. He's my guy in NXT. I've always been a fan of him for years. And he's almost like the final boss in NXT. But now that he's the champion, I don't see him getting beat for that title anytime soon. Not tonight. Not whoever he faces at Deadline. We'll maybe see who challenges him come Stand and Deliver. But this match is going to be something special. A premium live event level match for free on cable television. Well, free for me. But the fact that it's on cable television, it's going to be a very, very special night on Halloween night for night 2 of Halloween Havoc. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Ilya Dragunov and hope that he retains the NXT Championship. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Cinema Smackdown. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you can be notified on when a new episode comes out every Sunday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, on next week's episode, I will be talking about everything that happened at Night 2 of Halloween Havoc, as well as WWE Crown Jewel, emanating live from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia this Saturday, November 4th at 1 p.m. EST. So, hope to see you guys next week. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you soon.
Nope, not today. Sorry. I said read the